Good evening. This is the Marion City Council meeting for Thursday, July 5th, 2018. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Please be seated. Roll call, please.
Mr. Draper.
Here.
Ms. Etzel.
Present.
Mr. Jensen.
Present.
Mayor Aberosely.
Here.
Ms. Gedalia.
Here.
Mr. Brandt.
Here.
Mr. Sternad.
Here.
Thank you. This time we have a moment of silence. Thank you. First on our agenda, we have a presentation by Karen Huber with Home Instead Senior Care. Welcome.
Thank you. I'm here tonight to tell a little bit about the Give 65 campaign that'll be held next week, July 10th, 11th, and 12th. And we're doing this, Home Instead is working with Aging Services to raise money to help build a senior center. As most people know, the senior center was washed away 10 years ago with the flood, and now we have 13 satellite locations throughout Lynn County to serve our seniors, one of them being Lau Park here in Marion, but everything is held on a day. So one day is at Lau Park, one day might be in Hiawatha at the senior center, or the community center, excuse me. One might be down at Oak Hill Jackson, across town. So it's not one location anymore, which has become a problem for our seniors. And we're seeing the funding cut for our seniors. At Home Instead, we value our seniors, as I know everybody does, but we see the funding cut. So we started this Give 65 campaign with the help of our corporate office in Omaha. And through that foundation, they're able to give out $125,000 this year to the nonprofits around the United States. And we are going to work next week to help get some of that $125,000. Last year with this campaign, we were able to get $15,000 from our corporate office. I look at that as free money, and we're going after that free money again from our corporate office in Omaha. And so where we need help from the council members here and the rest of our community is by making a donation during that 65-hour period next week from July 10th through till midnight on July 12th. And it's just going to give65.org and making a $10 donation or more online, and each individual donation will count towards our numbers. Last year, we had the most donations made out of 99 nonprofits around the United States. Our nonprofit had the most donations, so we received that $10,000 gift from our corporate office. We're going for that again this year. And then this money, our goal is $20,000. This year, the money will be going towards the building of a senior center. We're looking at getting a senior center for our community again, because our seniors need one place to go where they can go and be involved in a dance class, an exercise class, games, have a doctor on site. We'd like to have a place where they can have a dentist, an eye doctor, possibly an ear doctor, a podiatrist, all of those places on site. I know it sounds bizarre, but we're looking at making this happen, and we will, but we need the help of our community to make this happen again because the funding continues to be cut. So Give 65 is our way of funding, and we'll be doing this every year, but we need our community to help us get this done so we can receive that free money again from our corporate office. So that's what I'm here to talk about, and hopefully we'll be talking more about the senior center because we do not have a location. We do not have the spot where it's going to be built, but we do have committees working on it, where and how big and where what it will all entail. But we're excited about it.
Okay. Thank you. Any questions?
What was that date range again?
July 10th through the 12th. So it starts Tuesday morning and goes till Thursday evening. We'll be doing a lot of news, and I know there'll be an article in the paper as well. So,
Is this going to be on TV? I mean, one of the TV stations?
Channel 2 will be on Channel 2 Tuesday morning.
Okay.
So Channel 2 will be covering it in the morning, and hopefully they'll be doing it throughout. Channel 9 did pick us up last year and did throughout. K-Memory, or KMRY, they did a lot with us last year as well. So we've been going around speaking at Rotary groups, Kiwanis groups, Lions groups, Optimist groups, all the different groups, because the more we get for donations, the more people we get making a donation builds our numbers. So maybe make a memory in your little calendar book right now to remind yourself to make a donation during that 3-day period, because we want the most donations, or the most dollars. That's another chance to win $10,000. We'll go for that one too, but either one, we want that free money from our corporate office in Omaha. So,
Thank you.
thank you.
Good luck. Okay. On to the consent calendar.
Yes, Your Honor, I have the consent calendar, and I haven't been asked by any council person to remove any item unless it comes up as we go. But I have items number 1 through 25. Have resolution 26,982 to 27,002.
Second?
It's been moved and seconded to approve the consent calendar as presented. Any discussion? None? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, please say no. Motion is approved. We'll pass the gavel to Mayor Pro Tem for the next section.
Yes, Your Honor. I make a motion to approve the consent calendar with Mayor Abwasali, abstention from voting, and discussion regarding the following items as presented. Item number 26 and 27, A, B, and C. Resolution 27003 through 277 or 27006.
Second?
Good.
Okay, a motion by Kim and a second by Paul. Any discussion? Okay, seeing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed or abstentions?
Abstaining. Okay, on to police and fire. We have a discussion regarding fireworks on the agenda. Who's going to lead this? Chief McHale? Okay.
Just in front of council, just had a quick update, a comparison of 2017 to 2018 calls for service. The date range from June 24th to July 25th through the time that I ran them this afternoon. In 2017, we had 170 calls for service, and during that time frame, we made 5 arrests. 2018, same time frame, June 24th through July 5th, we answered 273 calls and made 13 arrests. No significant injuries that we've been made aware of. One call for service was significant last night, and individual came outside their house with a shotgun and threatened some neighbors that if they didn't stop shooting off their fireworks, she'd do something about it. But alcohol was a major factor in this, and we made sure we took appropriate action on that individual.
Okay.
As for the fire department, last year we received over 100 complaints via email and phone calls. This year we received 0. We had 1 serious injury last year. This year we had no injuries. Last year we had 3 grass fires, and this year we had no fires.
Okay. Any questions for the chiefs from the council on?
Yes, I would have one. Chief McHale, could you tell us, did the increased calls for service put any additional strain on our department, or do you feel that we were lacking any coverage due to the fireworks? I would say we handled it in stride. Obviously, if we could do other things if we weren't responding to these calls. However, you know, with the celebratory activities, with the fireworks, it's just kind of what they do, and they're prioritized. The calls are, so you know, they're tiered down below more serious calls, so it doesn't affect our ability to respond to emergency calls. So, okay, thank you.
Chief, did you have any information or numbers for 2016 before all of the legality took place?
Looking back historically, there's just not much there.
Nope, okay.
I'll dig through it and I'll ask Cedar Rapids, like we discussed, Cedar Rapids and Lynn County, if they can go back, but we really started tracking it 2017.
I mean, if I look at this from the standpoint of 2017, the legal period was this entire period of time. And then you go down to 1 day, so it's not surprising to me you had more calls since everybody's aware that there's only one legal day. So not surprising there's more calls, but good to hear there's nothing serious that came out of it.
Prior to the fireworks becoming legal, we did have 2 house fires in 2016.
In
due to
2016?
fireworks. Yes.
Okay.
I know I received 5 emails and 1 phone call. One of the emails was a thank you. Somebody who was in favor of the fireworks, but the rest were complaining. And 1 phone call, which is a lot fewer than last year. But any other comments, or is this something we want to? I mean, I think is the discussion to talk about if there's anything more we want to do on fireworks, or or is it just to get the information? Just to get the information to us? Okay. Okay. Well, I would like to see us look at if there's any more that we can do personally.
I do believe there is someone in the audience that wants to speak on this.
Is this the time to take those comments, or at the public comment section, Lauren?
Generally, if it's related to an item on the agenda, you would do it during the item on the agenda. I would just know before you do that, too, my office handled 6 calls and 1 email on this as well. I don't know if there was any overlap with the ones that called you, Mayor, but we'd have to check on that.
Okay, so we can take comments at this time on that subject. I would just note that because I know we do have several people who want to talk about it, and if it's something that's already been said, we want you to express your concern. We want to hear you, but in the interest of everyone's time, if it's something that's already been said, try to add something to the discussion rather than repeating what somebody else has said. But we will take your comments at this time if you'd like to.
Can I ask a quick question?
Yes, sir.
To the chief or maybe the attorney. Last year I had brought it up, but is there a way to limit or restrict the sale of specific types of fireworks, like specifically stuff that actually shoot into the air?
No.
We cannot?
No,
Okay.
not by the state law.
We cannot dictate what is sold.
Correct.
Or right.
Or
exactly.
stop it, and we can only...
I mean, there is limits. They're called Class C, Class B, but those are the only limits we can do. But some of those fall into the ones that fly in the air, so we can't limit those, no.
Sure.
I think the one additional comment I would make about the fireworks is certainly we had a lot more people, a lot more entities selling fireworks in Marion than we did in 2017. I would probably predict in 2019, if we have the same situation as we do for 2018, those numbers will decrease. Because most of them did not make the numbers in sales anywhere near they had in 2017 because there were more. So I just think some of them are going to say, hey, it's not worth it.
Yes.
Coming back. So my prediction is, we got hit with a lot more tents and places in Marion in 2018, but I would predict it's going to drop down quite a bit in 2019.
Yes,
just because there's too many.
Our department did put in over 100 hours of staff time in inspecting, and every time they returned to a site, there were violations found. Yeah, every time.
Okay.
So.
Okay.
Mayor, can I
Yes,
just
go
jump in
ahead.
real quick? Just to add to the total, I think I got the one email that I think everyone else got. I did get 1 phone call. And one thing I would hope to see out of this is legislatively, and I think we talked about it a little bit, but having a little more home rule so that if we're going to, allow the sale of fireworks here in Marion, that Marion can benefit a little. I don't even think we benefit now. It's a $50 fee for the fire department to come out and do their inspection, but something where there's some benefit for the debris, the traffic, the everything else that comes along with it. So Marion has a little more, something we're getting out of it as opposed to just the people who come and try to profit and then pack up their tents and go.
Well, and the staff time, we're actually spending a lot more money than the application fee, the permit fee, on monitoring and all of that, so.
That is correct.
Yeah.
The state is going to reimburse our department for it's $100 per vendor, so we will be receiving.
Which is still far short of what we're.
Yes, far short.
What it's costing us.
Yep.
I know I brought it up a few weeks ago, but I would think maybe before next year, we look at possibly restricting where they can be sold, like Cedar Rapids did with zoning. Again, like I brought it up before, it's tents galore everywhere. It's not very appealing in my mind.
Okay, would you like to
For another time.
come forward? You have to please state your name and address and hand them the card. There you go. Thank you.
Yes, my name is Joyce Kitch, and we live at 2130 Agate Street. It's over in Rolling Hills Estates. We had 2 weeks' worth of people shooting off fireworks before the 4th of July. And last night we had 6 solid hours of it. Bottle rockets shooting over our house. It was just driving my dogs crazy. I couldn't calm them down. I have fibromyalgia, and this kind of stress and noise on a constant basis just really, really bothers me. And I'm wondering how bad it is for people who have PTDS. You know, I mean, this kind of noise and this constant, it was unbearable last night. It was all around us, every side of us, behind us, in front of us, and it was just horrible. And I'd like to see something done where you restrict where they can sell, or you restrict, ban them altogether. Do something, please.
Thank you. Again, we can ban the use, but we cannot ban the sale. I mean, we just don't have that power under the Iowa law.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you. Hi.
Noreen Tonkin, 1928th Avenue.
Welcome.
I saw some beautiful fireworks last night from my driveway as we were setting off the little neighbors' little things. And I thought, why don't we captivate on this? Why don't we go out to where the new ballparks are going, open it up, and let everybody bring theirs? You know, have a stand that sells soda or whatever, a couple fire trucks on site, a few policemen on site, and it's way out of town, and let everybody have a good time and play. My idea, thought, maybe.
Thank you. Thank you for your idea. Anyone else? Sir.
Hi, Mayor, Council. I'm Ron McDaniel. I live at 460 Morris Drive in Marion Village. I've lived here now for 2.5 years and experienced 4th of July twice now, and it's not been very nice. I specifically want to talk against bottle rockets, and I know from our conversation, Mayor, that you said they're legal by the state. But I want to tell you, the council, what happened to me. I work at a job that requires I go in the morning when it's dark. When I came out to see my car this afternoon, the bottle rockets had hit my car and left debris and burn marks on my car. So that was what happened this day. Last night, of course, like the other people were saying, I was up till 11:30 last night listening to all the fireworks. I'm a twice honorably discharged veteran of the Vietnam War. I'm used to fireworks, but I'm not used to bottle rockets going off over my house. Last year, a bottle rocket exploded over my head while I was mowing the lawn. And that was about 10 feet above my head. I reported the incident to park management. They did nothing. I reported the incident a week or two ago to the police and to park management about all the fireworks and bottle rockets going off. Nothing happened.
When you say park management, that's the complex where you live?
Yes.
Okay, yeah.
I have documented it with photographs. I have sent emails. I am just at a point at a loss of what to do. There was bottle rocket paraphernalia in the back of my pickup truck, which I found before I came here tonight. I don't know what the solution is. I like what Marion set up to do, but the fact that it doesn't cover bottle rockets, which are essentially unguided RPGs. They're subject to what propellant's being used, the environment, the wind. People that shoot these off have no idea where they're going. And when they come down on people's houses, their cars, or in my case, over my head, somebody's going to get hurt one of these days. And it's not going to be a pretty scene. I don't know what could be done, but I'm bringing it before you guys so you have an idea of what one of your citizens has went through in 2 years that I've lived here.
We appreciate hearing from you. Thank you.
Thank you for the opportunity to speak.
Thank you. Anyone else? Sir?
Niall Joyce. I live at 1390 Country Club Drive here in Marion. I'd like to ask the police chief, did you say you had like 273 complaints, was it?
Calls for service, yes, sir. From June 24th through July 5th, we answered 273 calls for service through our dispatch center.
How many of those were like for loudness or disturbance or?
I can't break it down that way. I can just pull from the CAD system how many calls were received by the dispatchers.
Okay. I guess I go along with my other Marion citizens. I feel the same way that a lot of the other folks here do. I have neighbors. They don't buy the small firecrackers or bottle rockets. These people to the east of me, to the west, they're buying the largest and the loudest fireworks that they can possibly buy. And it went on, like I said, just a couple blocks either side of me, from 1 o'clock yesterday afternoon until 10:30 last night. And all I can say is, you hear it for an hour, and then you're hearing it and constant. I'm telling you constantly. And after a couple hours, it really gets to be very, very nerve-wracking on you. And we think about our freedoms and what the 4th of July is all about. And we have a lot of veterans that live in this community. And I think we ought to have a little bit more respect and prohibit the use of the fireworks in this city. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Is there anyone else to address the council on that issue? Okay. Moving on with the agenda, community development, and I will turn over the gavel to Mayor Pro Tem on this.
Thank you. Okay, at this time, we have a public hearing regarding a preliminary site development plan for Bluebird Square located on the northeast corner of Highway 13 and 151, High Property Management and Development. Tom, you want to go through anything since there's a public hearing?
Yes, I've asked Dave Hockett to do a little briefing. I think he presented on Tuesday.
Not going to go into any real great detail. I think I covered it at length a few days ago. This is the site as proposed, 6 12-plex buildings, so 72 total units on the site, rimmed around by the garages on the outside of the property. You can see the full landscape plan. It's conceptual. There are hard numbers that do come with it, but it is a conceptual landscape plan. So you can see the site is well landscaped around the garages. The Planning and Zoning Commission last month recommended approval. There was one vote opposed. Based on looking at the minutes, it was just he wanted to follow through with the original plan, but it was a positive vote in support with the conditions. And again, kind of throwing up the same. Sorry, I have notes everywhere. This is the elevation of the project. These are all in the staff report from the other day as well. As you can see, it's got a contemporary style as the design guidelines require. This has evolved quite a bit from the initial submittal, and it's evolved even from the Planning and Zoning Commission recommendation that they wanted to see a little bit more variation in the materials on the roadside, and I'll show you a picture of that again. It's a little brighter image than what was provided the other day. But as you can see, the front, it's a mix of materials, split stone block, the horizontal siding, the vertical siding on it, the enclosed porches or decks on the upper levels. So it's got quite a few different materials. None of these materials are prohibited in the document, but they're not permitted either. This again goes back to the quick start discussion: is what's allowed, what's not allowed out in this development. Street side that was being This is the side that will face at an angle the Carlson Way, which is a private drive. As you can see, there's a variety. It doesn't show the deviation in setbacks and stuff. The building does have some setbacks. The blue walls are in the middle of the building, so it's got some variation there. But it's got a cement board horizontal along these areas. Horizontal cement board. You got the horizontal architectural metal siding, and you have a vertical siding. You've got a split block product, a rough face texture product on the bottom, lower levels. So you've got really 4 materials visible from the road on that side. And then, of course, it wraps around like that front elevation like I showed you earlier with some of the same similar and compatible materials as well. This is a condition of the Planning and Zoning Commission to do more with this side. This is what was submitted at Planning and Zoning Commission. So you can see the materials changed from a cement board and siding to some more of the architectural steel. So they just wanted to see some more variation on this elevation, and this is what the architect and developer came up with to provide for that mix for the commission recommendation.
Dave, can you show us where they had the one comment about the vinyl siding? Can you indicate to us where that is being used, or how much of it?
On the front elevation, the vinyl, and the architect is here, and he can correct me I'm sure he will if I mess this up. Vinyl siding is shown in the inside areas of the porches, along the front edges on that side, and then on the I call this the front and rear elevations. Both sides match. I mean, basically the sides match each other more or less. So on the this would be the side of the building that you don't necessarily see from the public street. So you're going to get a mix of the vertical architectural metals, and then you get the horizontal vinyl siding in this area, the gray. So then on the street side, again, the blue, I guess it's showing dark. Now, the blue is the metal. This is a architectural metal siding. This is your cement board siding. And then this is back into your vinyl, I believe, as well in this area. And then you have the split face, or the rough block. And I can let the developer and the architect talk about materials in more detail.
Anyone have anything else for Dave? Okay.
Okay.
Thanks.
Great.
So at this time, anyone who would, let's remember the order. First, for, against, for. Anybody who wants to come and speak for this project, please come up at this time and state your name and address.
Good afternoon. I'm Mayor, Council Darrell High from High Properties on behalf of Bluebird Square. I'm happy to answer any of your questions. I did bring another rendering, if I get this thing to work. That kind of shows the new buildings laid into the overall site plan. We've been working on the exterior elevations, the product itself, probably for 3 or 4 months. We went to planning and zoning. We had some concern ourselves with the panel system for what it would look like in the sun after it was sat there for a while, if it might have some deflection to it. After the Planning and Zoning Commission, we actually got a chance to see the hotel rendering and what they were using, and that's kind of where we tied in. They were using some of the masonry block, so we thought that might be good for us to use some too, so the whole project could have some uniformity to it. In staff, and then actually at Planning and Zoning also, we spent a lot of time talking about these two sides of the buildings. On the site plan, we've moved the garages back, so they're a lot more visible along with the fronts. And so that's where you see that detail with the metal. 72 units. I'm happy to answer any questions you have of us.
Have any questions for Darrell at this time?
Yeah, from my standpoint, I think you've made a number of changes to the project, listened to what P&Z indicated. Not a big fan of the amount of vinyl siding on the project at all. The biggest comment I have, Mr. High, is just about the other comment that P&Z had, and that this particular project deviates from the higher density plan that was originally proposed for Squaw Creek Crossing. So as I sit here tonight, again, without getting into some of the other issues about vinyl siding, without getting into issues about the garages and all of that, my biggest issue is going to be with that higher density, particularly from the standpoint that the city has invested a very significant amount of money into Squaw Creek Crossing. And based upon that, I think the city needs to come out of this project with a project in that corner that is going to satisfy the housing, one of either the lower end or higher end of the housing needs based upon the housing study that was completed a year and a half ago. So based upon that, your project, as I understand it, with the rent numbers, falls in the middle of the lower end and the high end, and we've got plenty of that around. Nothing against your project. If you were somewhere else, it'd be an excellent project. So my particular point is, in this particular area, the city's invested a lot of money, and I would be looking for something different.
We appreciate the comments. We spent a lot of time looking at the original plan. We studied the report that your consultant provided.
Okay.
We hired Bowen out of Ohio to do a follow-up report. And I just want to point out kind of the one area that we might have a disagreement on, and it's specific about that high-end need. So just from the layman's point of view, just from me talking about it, the simplicity way to look at it is that you've got units across the street that are 7, 8, 850. You've got Almond up the street building 1250, 1300. We chose to be around in that 900, in that middle range of those two product mixes. So that was kind of the mentality that we went with. I understand that they said that in the report, page 37, it talks about a shortage of units in the 80 to 110% median income, between $1,200 and $1,700 a month. There's 350 of these renters, and there's 283 of these units in this price range. I'll be honest, I've done this for a long time. I don't know where there are 283 units in Marion, Iowa that rent from $1,200 to $1,700, excluding maybe some executive housing. But so that, I'm just trying to tell you, it's not that we didn't look at, we can agree to disagree. We don't agree with that data point, and we have to rent them. So what we were trying to do is come up with a strategy where we looked at the first set of housing, or first set of plans. We've just done a couple of them. They're extremely expensive to build, and even with the TIF that we would get back and the workforce housing tax credits, it doesn't offset what the Bowen research, and I think Westerkamp and Raleigh and other appraisals in town will weigh in on this per square foot per month rental rate. And we've struggled as a market in Lynn County to get $1 a square foot a month, meaning that if you have a 915 square foot apartment, you're getting $850, $900. I appreciate you going out and looking at our Stonegate project. That's a perfect example. I appreciate any council members that does their homework. I do. It makes my job easier. Even if I fail up here, my job is to come in and we spend a lot of time. This isn't a 2-week endeavor to get here in front of you. So over there at Stonegate, those are 925 square foot units. They were built 15 years ago, and they rent for anywhere from $795 to about $850. So they're below that $1 a square foot per month category. Obviously, they're not new. In-unit laundry, security, garages, but proximity to the largest employer in the city, they are well rented. But that's kind of the market rate over there. So when we go out here, we're like new. We've got a new model. We've got screened-in porches. We still have in-unit laundry, 9-foot ceilings, Pella windows, the same thing that makes us do what we do. But I'm not here to disagree with you. I'm just saying that we looked at it hard, and what we came up with was what we felt like we could rent them for. And I've done 6 community development block grant projects completely through the audit process with IEDA, which I deal with the 80% median income renter, so I kind of know that profile. It was not a profile that at that rental rate that we had dealt with a lot, so we had a learning curve. We're in year 3 of it. We have in both Lynn and Johnson County. We've successfully made it through the audits. I will tell you that I don't believe an 80% median income person can pay $1,500 a month. I don't think, I'll just respectfully disagree with the information, but I don't believe that's accurate.
And again, I think the study is saying there's a shortage of both low end and high end. So my comment here isn't saying we need particularly one or the other.
Sure.
Okay,
sure.
so I'm not trying to push you in either direction here.
No, and I'm just saying when we looked at, we really tied into, like I said, we don't really agree with the very, very high end, but we looked at this, that 67, 70 number as kind of what Joe was going to handle, Mr. Almond, I'm sorry, what Mr. Almond was going to handle up the street, and we were trying to come in kind of below them, and really synergy creates value. I mean, they're good for us, we're good for them, because the customer, once they call on the website or the phone, because that's how they do it anymore, once we get them out here, they're gonna look on their phone or and see what other products available at different price points. That's kind of how it works, and that to us is good for everybody. In fact, we want some competition. We don't want to go out on an island all by ourselves. So that's just all I have. That's how we got to the value range that and this is the product that we because we just built 60 of these in Waterloo. It's got workforce housing tax credit, so I know this number. This is the product we could meet that price point.
And Daryl, we're still in the public hearing. So
Oh, I'm
just,
sorry.
No, that's okay. Just before you go, though, I had one quick question for you that we didn't have on Tuesday. So this is 72 units. What was originally proposed?
It was 72 units. This matches the workforce housing tax credit application that's already made to IEDA.
Okay. There was one other thing I had for you. Oh, yeah. So it's the change in this from the original, what was put forward, eats into land that was to the west, and in my opinion, eats up some what could have been commercial for this residential. Is that right?
Really not. When we looked at the plat, and obviously I've known Mr. Esker for a very long time, we looked at the plat. They originally had a road, north-south road. We said, listen, I don't think we can make what we need to do fit, but I don't necessarily think you need another north-south road. You've got two that serve the project. It's just one more place to plow, one more, let us absorb that. So we did, and we did go over it some. I think in the work session they showed a drawing. I challenge us to maybe look at it a little closer. I didn't think we went that far over. We do self-contain ourselves and self-park ourselves, and we do have water retention, which in the initial design, you're either going to have pavers, self-absorbent pavers, because there's no water detention, so at least from when I reviewed it. And so we are taking that road and maybe a little bit more, but I think we fit in there nicely on a height standpoint. The hotel will be the prominent building in the line of structures on the backside. We do a lot of traveling, a lot of looking at, there's, not that it's real comparable, but it is comparable if you think about it. So there's a place in Scottsdale, Arizona called McCormick Ranch, and when you come out of McCormick Ranch in one of the hotels, there's lots of residential, and down there everything's walled. We're not walled, but we are separated. So you go, okay, I stayed in that hotel, and there's a really nice concave of units right by us, and that's where the Bluebird Square concept came from.
Okay. That's it. Paul?
Is it architecturally, could you not have windows in the ends of that building? It would make it look so much better.
Is there no windows on the end of the?
When you come up, would you please state your name and address too, please, sir?
Yes. I'm Kim Schmidt, architect with Vantage Point Architects, and I'm responsible for all the questions, I guess. In the building, and you call it the end, or I call it the side of the building, we do have those windows, and each of those windows is into a bedroom. This is a 2-bedroom unit. The size of each unit is 1,018 square feet, plus 120 square feet of either screen deck or patio. So these are good-sized units. Then if you come around to the front of the building, we've got windows into the bedrooms at the front of the building. So where you're seeing that blank space is room inside the bedrooms that doesn't work as far as laying out furniture in those bedroom spaces. If you wanted to put something on those sides, it'd be a faux window. It'd be something that wants to break up that facade so that it looks like there's an opening there, but there's not going to be. So does that answer your question?
Yeah, the front of the building I think is attractive. You call it, is that the side? I'd call it the side. You call it the...
Well, the front has the front door. And again, the building has a front and a back that are mirrored the same. Okay. And the two sides, as I call it, are also the same from building to building. This space that we were looking at with the windows is the one that faces the private street that drives through the development.
I just look at it, the pictures, and think it looks so much better with the windows. If you can't do it, you can't do it.
We can show that to you in a different way. I think on the inside of each unit, when you walk in the big family room, there's a 9-foot Pella door, goes out onto the screen porch. You walk in, both bedrooms have windows. So if you can imagine the next unit that's mirrored to that unit, it has the same thing. So the only real windows are on for those two back bedrooms are on the side. Because we could put a window in the master, which would be that area, but then there'd be no place for the bed.
But you could put faux windows or something that serve no purpose other than aesthetics, which I think is Paul's point.
That's the only thing
Well,
Yeah,
we can
yeah, I
work,
don't think
we've really worked, we didn't have a lot of time from planning and zoning to here. We worked on that side. The block was new, so we went out and found block that had a blue tent from it from King's. The metal, and I know the metal's kind of new for staff, but we looked at, Fred Temco built a building down in Kingston that's got the metal in the block. We used that as an example. We brought some pictures of it. We used that as an example. We went and looked at it. So we'll work on that elevation on that side until we get it to where it's satisfactory with the staff. It's just, yeah, that's.
Well, again, I've heard comments about cement board and vinyl siding. These are recent photos of buildings that we've done in the last year. This first one has stone.
Well, I just want to close on that. I mean, so if you would approve our project, we're not done on the conversation on that side that faces the street. We still can we can come back to council if you want us to come back to council. Once we saw what the hotel looked like, that changed my thought process to what our project needs to look like. Because our project
I appreciate you considering the whole cohesive look of that project, certainly.
Well, we have to rent them. We're going to own them for a long time.
Right.
Yeah, so that's our strategy is not just to be successful today. 10 years from now, we've got to rent them, and, I'm sorry. Yes, sir.
Did anything else before we give anyone else an opportunity to come up? While Daryl and Kim are here, does anyone have anything for them? Okay, we'll call you back up if there's something.
Yes, ma'am.
I'm sure you're not going far.
My only other comment is to what was originally looked at as the site development. I know it was a concept, but there were two buildings, and we said they were dense. The footprints of those two buildings that were presented to you, and we were told that they were going to have underground or parking at the first level. Both buildings are a little too narrow for that to happen, so the footprint of those buildings has to get bigger to do that. When I've done buildings that have underground or at-grade parking, you need 64 feet as the minimum size for that to happen. The big building that we're looking at here is 60, so we're close, but the smaller building is only 50, so we've got to expand the width of that building by 14 feet, which starts to play into the surface parking that's shown, which cascades into other situations. So you're not going to see a proposal from somebody with that footprint for those two buildings. It will be different. I'll just tell you that right now. In order to get 72 units on this corner, it's going to be something different than what was presented in the concept. And this was, again, our way to try to do that. One other thing, was mentioned about density, and we're less dense. We have about a little over 1,000 square feet of green space per unit. The other units that were presented in the concept plan is about 440 square feet of green space per unit. So again, more green space, maybe that's a good thing or a bad thing, but this proposal has it in the design. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else who would like to come up and speak in favor of this project? Okay, anyone who would like to speak against or ask any further questions for clarification? Okay, seeing none, the public hearing is closed. Steve?
I'd like to make a motion to approve resolution number 27007, approving a preliminary site development plan for Bluebird Square located on the northeast corner of Highway 13 and 151.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion by Steve and a second by Paul for resolution number 27007. Discussion?
Yeah, probably another question for Mr. High. I have concerns about the price of the units too. I do believe we do need higher priced units in Marion. Is there any way you could do half of them, a lower price, and the other half just to that need?
We'll try to rent them for as high a price as we can. I'm trying to be smart aleck. You're always going to do that. I was just, all seriousness. Yes, ma'am. We will look at a courtyard side view, and then an outside view, and the courtyard will be higher. I will tell you that that what we pride ourselves on is we lose very few people that rent from high properties and go rent somewhere else. Most people that rent from high properties, if they leave us, they either buy homes or they move out of town. And we'll be a good citizen. We have other projects in Marion. We've had them for a long time. And not a price comment, but I mean, we pride ourselves on doing good work with good residents, and we run good communities. So we don't have a lot of interference with the police, and so we'll do a good job. And we're going to own them. We own them and manage them. We don't manage other people's property.
Anyone else?
I have a question. You brought up the courtyard. What's your plan for the courtyard? Is it just going to be green space, or are you going to do?
We're using. There's part of that is the water retention that's wet. So the block that we're going to use in the building will be block. There'll be the pillars for the wrought iron fence that come up and meets in the middle. That's where we're going to have a sculpture, and it's going to be a kind of a modern sculpture. It's going to have some blue in it, and then behind it will be the water, and then there will be walkways in the courtyard that service the buildings. Just grass and walkways.
Anyone else? While you're there, Daryl, so kind of just back to Steve's comment, if this was in a spot where the city wasn't giving any financial incentives for this project, I think it's overall a really good project. I do appreciate your, like I said, looking at the cohesiveness of what else is coming around, but my concerns kind of stem from what Kim said, which I thought might be a good solution, is offering a certain percentage of these to address our standards, because and I'm sure you're familiar because of your multiple projects, we have the strategic goals for the city that drive what we do. One of them is lead planned growth, and so leaning on our housing diversity, stock, et cetera, is something that we have to factor into what we're assessing. And the second is, what did I write down, number 2 and 4, higher design standards. And I think, to Paul's point about the side or front, whatever we're calling that, I do appreciate that it's better. I would like, even if it's something faux, something else to break that up, and it sounds like you're open to that. But for me to give my approval of this, and I'm just speaking for me, obviously, this would have to address the density issue to some degree. Some percentage of it would have to be allocated to either the high end or the low end. And I know you don't agree with that report, but that is the report we were given and that we are basing things on until something else comes in front of me. Otherwise, because we have over $9 million invested in this particular real estate, I feel that we've got to kind of be able to check those boxes. So again, that's just me, but
Sure. I can work on the elevation. That elevation obviously doesn't show the berm or the fence and the trees and stuff in the front. So I think that kind of shows obviously the area you're looking on that building, but that's a normal one-stall size garage. You see the berm and the trees, but we can definitely do that. I can do that. I can't tell you I can do something I can't do. I don't make the market. The market's the market. So in the Workforce Housing Tax Credit Code of market rate units, you rent to the market. And so I can't tell you tonight that I can set the rents real low or real high, because that's not how.
But won't how you build it drive some of that? The materials that you use inside? I mean, I get you can't change the square feet, but you could do granite instead of formica or whatever. I mean.
Yeah, to some extent, there's some of that. I mean, I hope to believe that after many years we have a reputation and we make the phone ring. And we make the phone ring at any price point. We have units in Marion that are $450. We have units in Marion that are $1,300. And my mom lives in one of them at Hunters Creek, right out by the golf course. And so we don't care when you call us what you're looking for. Our job is to serve you and find out where you want to be, and we'll show you anything that you want to look at any price point as we go through the process of identifying what you can qualify for and what fits your family needs. That's kind of how we do it. So I just don't want to mislead you. I want to be honest. I mean, we won't work hard, and we will work on the outside, and we can bring back another elevation to the staff. if you so
But
desire.
you can't designate a building or two or the courtside ones to really target a specific price point?
If we could get the units to $1.25 a square foot a month, which would be about $1,100, we'd be beating the market by a couple $100. I'd love to see it go there. I'd love to see the whole market go there. But it's kind of like how nice can your gas station be, and you still sell $3 gas. The market drives what we do, and I'm not trying to be flippant. We really work hard to pay attention to what the competition is doing, because we try to be in there somewhere where we can compete and stay full.
So, Lon, I'm going to ask you, so based on that answer, again, I'm trying to assess this based on the other things that I mentioned outside of this specific development. Is that good enough? Do you know what I mean? For weighing the TIF that we put in, knowing my concerns, is that a guarantee enough that we will probably get the right diversity, at least out of some of this? Or would we be looking for something more concrete as a guarantee, which doesn't sound like we can necessarily do?
Yeah, I think the question would be is, to make sure that you get into that, what's the follow-up? What would have to be done to make sure that that was either going to go in or going to continue? Like when you do, for example, a low to moderate income housing project and those types of tax credits are involved, there's automatic reports that have to be done. And I think Daryl referred to them before for doing a CDBG project. There are things that you have to do to certify that you're continuing to meet those conditions for rent. In the absence of having that kind of outside assistance or anything like that where someone else is taking on that responsibility, it really then starts to fall to the city or to the staff to do that, and we don't really have a mechanism for doing that. I would be very surprised if anybody in the business, as Mr. High is talking about, was to leave some dollars on the table for being able to rent the units for the maximum amount that they think that they can. It's really up to council, I think, to decide if that is going to be good enough or if this is close enough to the spot in the market that you feel like it's going to start to address that need. I would like to clarify on one thing. I think Daryl had pointed out that he wasn't sure where those top-end ones were in the market. I believe that the top end of the rental market in Marion right now is primarily single-family homes. It's not unusual to see single-family homes coming in at that renting for $1,300 to $1,500 a month, so that's probably that couple hundred units that he was talking about were coming from, but you can't point right now to a specific complex or something that's playing in that arena.
So for the rent level that Mr. High is talking about, would his rent level be at the high end for Marion for apartments?
I think he's probably still in the price range that the housing needs study would identify as being second tier. You've got the top tier, which is the ones that he's talking about that are, $1.15, $1.25, $1.35 a square foot. The next tier down from that would be your 90-cent dollar a square foot. Then you get down to the price ranges down below that. Now, I would also point out, as I think several of the council members have, that there are two ends to that market that could be addressed through a project.
I have a point of information. Normally, what happens between the preliminary and the final site plan, Tom?
Well, what happens a lot of times, you will get the way our ordinances are generally set up, you'll see this a lot. We do the preliminary and the final separate considerations just because that's the way it's spelled out in our ordinances. A lot of times you'll get a preliminary site development plan that may be a larger property, and maybe they bring in a final on phase 1 and a final on phase 2 and a final on phase 3. In this instance, it's all one phase. So the preliminary and final are essentially the same thing. If the concern was elevation conversation or whatever, that's where the preliminary could be approved and the final could be brought back. But I'm just kind of making a leap to what you were asking in reality. So if I'm wrong, let me know.
We're not, on either of those, we're not really talking design standards. We could change the design standards.
Well, generally, what we like to have is, and I know Mr. Hyatt indicated that he could continue to tweak those. you can imagine the position staff is in if they get tweaked and then it's built and then the council's like, whoa, that was not something that we approved. So I do think whatever happens, we do need some kind of final document to be, because of the zoning, to be authorized by the city council. That's why we have a final, if the considerations that were made between planning commission and the city council were made between the city council and staff, you could see where there could be some concerns if, from the council's perspective, if you didn't particularly like what was proposed after the meeting.
So let me ask you this then. So if we were to approve the preliminary tonight, pending some changes based upon the discussion we've had this evening, and having Mr. Hyde come back for the final to present what those changes are. And again, we've got some appearance changes. We have some density issues here, or price point issues. And again, my comments, my issue is all about some of the density, some of that meeting the housing needs. Again, your reputation as a developer and all of that is solid in my books. So I have no concern about the work you would do. It's really, does the work that's going to be in this project going to meet our housing needs? And at this point, I still don't feel it does. So unless you're willing to come back and say, here's something I think I can do in one of the buildings to help address that, or do something somewhere in this project, then I'm not in favor.
Let me try to address the monetary side for a second. So, because I'm a little confused, because we just have a motion on the floor to approve it. What were we trying to approve that we had a motion on the floor? I'm just confused where we went just there.
Well, the motion is to approve the preliminary plat as presented.
Okay. So then the question is specific to the rent or the I can address Mr. Draper's question about what's on the buildings. We can bring a schedule of material finishes back and identify what was changed from the Planning and Zoning Commission and through tonight to the City Council. That's an easier part. When it comes to addressing the question about the rent controls, that's a whole different situation. So I'm just trying to make sure I understand what you may be asking me to consider.
My thinking was that we could approve the preliminary and table the final site plan until he has that opportunity that he's outlining here.
Yes, sir. Fair enough.
Because
I agree.
That I don't think we're objecting to the site plan itself, although we like to see commercial in there. But it's what he's got to build what's selling or what he's able to rent. So if we were to approve the site plan preliminary, he could then come back with the finals of little changes and twerks he's going to make, and we could look at that again.
I agree with your comment that he's got to build what he can rent, but I also believe that when the city's putting this much money in there, that some of the result of that project should be to benefit the city based upon the housing needs study.
And I wouldn't argue with that.
Yeah, and this project anywhere else would be great. It's just in this site in Squaw Creek Crossing is a little different issue.
No, I understand, and I think from our perspective, the workforce housing tax credits we've done, completed one, we've been awarded 4 more, and we're working on this one. So the issue that makes them appealing to the marketplace is that it does fill that gap of getting things built that might not otherwise get built. It's not anywhere near as much capital as the community development block grants are. And that's where they come in with some rent controls related to HUD and some audit stuff. So just to put it in comparison, the last CDBG I did was a $3 million contribution. The LIHTC I just did was a $5 million, but you're really getting those rents down. You're hitting that one target you're talking about. And to be honest, I think that is probably the vehicle for that marketplace, is that low-income housing tax credit, especially, there's senior demand everywhere. And that's, but the only way to get those rents down there at $400, $500, $600 is to have those federal tax credits. And I don't want to get off on that, but back to the CDBG. So $3 million versus the workforce housing tax credits in this particular project are going to be probably $700,000-800,000. Okay, so you can see where you don't have a lot. I know it's a ton of money for the city. Don't take me the wrong way, but when it really comes to the nuts and bolts of the numbers, you don't have a lot of pressure to move the other side by the contribution value of the workforce housing tax credits. The TIF that we've estimated, and maybe we're estimating it incorrectly, is somewhere net present value of $500,000-600,000. So again, we've got $1.2 million versus $3 million. I'm just trying to put it on the board to go. We'll show you the numbers. I mean, we've got plenty of financial people up there. I mean, that's what we're trying to do. Now, I do believe for Marion, the market rate units are the way to go. You have a completely mix of people that'll live there, and lots of them will go on to become Marionites and own homes and contribute to your city. And really, when you hire us, that's part of what you hire. It's not just that we're a rental company. We've served Rockwell Collins. We've been their corporate housing provider for 14 years now. And a lot of people that rent from us go on to buy homes. I mean, we have a very stringent rental policy on income, a criminal, all that background check we do up front. And at the end of the day, that's why you don't, knock on wood, see us in the news.
I agree with that.
Yes, sir. I'm sorry if I took too much time.
No.
Anyone else? Okay, so we have the motion by Steve, second by Paul, and we are going to vote on, can we do a roll call vote, please, Rachel, on resolution number 27007?
Mr. Draper?
Yes.
Ms. Etzel?
No.
Mr. Jensen?
No.
Ms. Gedalia?
No.
Mr. Brandt?
Yes.
Mr. Sternad?
No.
Okay. So does that negate number 3? On?
Yeah, if the preliminary site development plan is not approved, then there wouldn't be action that would need to be taken on approval of final.
Okay. I mean, I don't know what to say other than I think the concerns are out there. I feel like we're close. They're at least speaking for, I think Steve and I are on the same page, and Kim's comment led me to think she's the same way. If there was some, and I don't know, I can't speak for Randy, I'm not sure about his no, but I would love to see this come back and address that need, because I do think it was shaping up to look nice, but the fact that it ate into the road and maybe what was going to be some of the event center or that footprint kind of, I didn't feel great about losing potential commercial to expand this a little bit. So I really wanted to get out of this what I had mentioned to hit, for me, those 2 strategic goals, which I try to measure significant approvals by. But thanks for answering the questions, and I think at this time we move on to number 4. Randy?
Okay, Your Honor, this will be for making a motion to approve ordinance number 18-19, approving and rezoning from restricted industrial I-1 to general commercial C3 from Lynn County Agriculture to restricted industrial I-1 and to general commercial C3 located east of the Marion Airport runway and south of Marion Airport Road, Genesis Equities Land Holdings, LLC. This will be second consideration.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion by Randy and a second by Will. Any discussion?
Who wrote that?
One guess.
Okay, all those in favor of ordinance number 18-19, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed or abstaining? And relinquish the gavel back to the mayor.
Your Honor, I have the next item, motion to direct staff to form a design selection committee to create additional pedestrian bridge concepts for the Seymour Trail project.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded to direct staff to form a design selection committee to create additional pedestrian bridge concepts for Seymour Trail project. Discussion.
Yeah, I drove over in that area this morning to look at it a little closer. Can you clarify one item for me? Yes, we got 3 pillars there from the old railroad going over it. So when we talk about the alignment of Alburnett Road coming in there, do all 3 of those pillars have to come out, or what is the option? I know Paul the other day talked about wanting to keep all or some of them, but where does Alburnett Road fall as it relates to all 3 of those pillars?
So I don't have it that I can pull up and show you.
Okay.
Tomorrow when we do the CIP, I can show you the alignment of what that's actually going to look like.
Okay.
The center pier has to go for the turn lane for the northbound 7th Avenue to the northbound Alburnett Road.
All right.
That's the left turn bay.
Okay.
The other 2 pillars that you see are right pretty much at the back of curb of the street. Typically, you want a 10-foot clear zone. So if somebody goes off and ramps the curb and has an accident, you actually want to have a clear zone in there so that they have time to recover so they don't hit something. So if somebody was to hit that wall, unfortunately, these 2 departments are going to have to respond to that by having that there, because that piece of concrete is not going anywhere.
So that's the reason you're talking about taking those out, even though they've been there for
Well, they're not.
decades.
So there's a difference between something being old and being historic. So if you look at them, they are starting to flake and spall.
Okay.
And so there's actually another set of them that's farther back in the embankment,
Oh.
and those are the abutments. But generally, to get that landscaping, to get it built correctly, we'll take those 3 out. There has been discussion of leaving the 2 abutments there and using those abutments as part of the foundation for the bridge.
It's that or buy some more land. The rest of the land probably wouldn't cost $5.5 million that the bridge is going to cost.
Well, that's if we go with option A, the original option A, which everyone really likes, but I don't think that's...
We will be
That was really
discussing.
expensive.
Yeah,
I
I
don't
don't
know.
think anyone's thinking
Yeah.
spending
No.
$5.5 million on this bridge, so let's be clear about that.
Yes.
I mean, I don't want to get that out there. Thank you.
Okay.
Other discussion? Okay. All those in favor of the motion, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, please say no. Motion is approved. Thank you.
Your Honor, I make a motion to approve resolution number 27009, approving payment number 7 to Shoemaker Highland for the contract for the Seymour Trail, Iowa DOT project number TAP-U-4475 63081-57 in the amount of $3,682.59.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve resolution number 27009, approving payment number 7 to Schumacher Holland for the contract for the Seymour Trail in the amount of $3,682.59. Discussion. Okay, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, please say no. Motion is approved. At this time, we have citizen presentations. Is there anyone here to address the council? Yes, ma'am. Please come forward, state your name and address, and hopefully you filled out the yellow card for us. Oh, you did it before, so you're good. Thank you.
Noreen Tonkin, 1928th Avenue.
Welcome back.
Thank you. See, do I just put this under here?
You can.
Where, does that work? I came down and dropped this off on June 28th because I heard that there was going to be another heat sale going on close to my neighborhood, which was really a devastating thing for me last time. They did it in front of 7th Avenue in front of the Dairy Queen. It cost me a lot of money for my parrot who got really sick, all sorts of things. All sorts of things that I want to go into right now. The main thing I'm addressing right now is a request that when something like this is going to be going on, in a neighborhood, if the neighborhood could be notified minimum 48 hours prior and a minimum of a 4-block radius, being that I am 1, 2, 3 blocks away from Dairy Queen, and the last time, not the last time, but the first time they did the heat sealing, it really gassed my house out, and I'm 3 blocks away. No idea what was going to happen. I wasn't even home when it first started. So if I would have had a 48-hour notice, I could have made arrangements for my animals. I would have been home in case there was this emergency situation. And I could have ran up and down the stairs and made sure all the windows were closed and, doors were closed and little boys next door weren't home by themselves, Just a consideration to be able to respond and take care of ourselves. And I really think it needs to go not just the street, because I did talk to somebody and say, oh, we do tell them, ahead of time, but it's usually right in front of where the action is happening. But it really affects way out of that, at least a 4-block radius.
Is this, we're talking about the slip lining?
Yes,
I
I'm
mean,
sorry.
she's calling it.
Yep.
That's slip lining. Heat sealing, same thing.
Aren't they
Okay.
the same thing? Heat seal, slip lining?
Yeah.
Kinda?
Are they the
I just
same
want to make
thing,
sure I
though?
understood the.
Just
I know the
basically
process.
Different chemicals, different
Yeah.
kinds, stuff like that. So that's what I'm just asking about. I'm just asking about it. Let us know ahead of time, please, far enough out so we can handle, the situation. Should it become? I asked Gary. He says, "Well, how come it didn't smell so bad this time?" And he said, "Well, the wind was blowing a different way." Well, what if next time the wind's blowing the other way? It just gives you a chance to.
So I'm confused. Are you concerned about what you're smelling from the general air or through your pipes? Because I thought when you talked to me before, it was about your.
It came through the pipes, and then I had a plumber who checked my house, and my house was fine. We devised a valve, an intake valve on my stack. So one of my stacks, I have several stacks in the house. So if there's a vacuum situation going on with the sewer line and it's sucking the traps dry, it will hopefully take air from this sacrificial valve instead of the trap, allowing sewer gas into the house. And since I've had that in there, it's been fine. My house has been fine, but I can't sell my house with that in there. It's not code. Everybody looks and says, that's not code. You can't do that. So, I'm an old lady.
So you're no longer getting that inside your house, but
For
it's in the.
me.
Right, but it's
Right.
okay. It's in the.
I have not. Not to say it won't happen tomorrow. God knows what goes on. But
Well, that's good because
Yeah.
I misunderstood
yeah,
from our conversation last week.
my neighbor across
Yeah.
from me that's hooked into the same sewer line, she has problems.
Yeah.
We're just two people. I didn't mean to come and talk about the sewer line thing. I just came to ask if please notify us ahead of time so we can close windows
Okay.
and doors. But
So what is our policy on that in terms of notifying people?
So what we do is we actually have the contractor do door hangers before they're going to do it, because when we actually slip line the main, so we're taking a soft material and we're hardening it, and during that process, if they continue to use their sanitary sewer service, it could actually back up. So we tell them, don't do laundry, don't take long showers during that time. It usually takes about an hour to get the cure to actually completely cure, and then they actually send a little, I'm going to call it a little robot that goes through, and we basically cut the hole back open where their service is. And so they know when we're going to do that. Before the project, for bigger projects like a road reconstruction project, we'll tell them, hey, you're going to lose access to your driveway, stuff like that. For this project, it's very minimal. They set up the vehicle in the middle of the street where the manhole is, set their equipment up, do the slip lining, and then they're out of there and moving on to the next location.
Yeah, how far in advance do we let people know that that's going to happen? That they
In our plans, I think they
use
have
their
sure
facilities and.
So we only notify those that are directly affected, and it's typically 7 days in advance.
7 days in advance. So it is well enough in advance. But it's only people who are right around the.
Yeah, we've never had a complaint. Department of Health has never had a complaint on it. So if you want us to change our procedures, we certainly can.
I talked
I'm
to
just
a lot
trying
of
to
my
see what our
neighbors
policy is.
after the first time, and a lot of people were smelling it all outside, and I even went down, and because I was baffled, blindsided, and I was down there where the truck was, and it was maybe they were using a different chemical at the time, I don't know. But it was very intrusive and it traveled quite a ways.
But not this time, so that's good.
Yeah, this time was a lot better, but
Good.
if we had a guarantee of a constant, but we don't have a good track record yet. We're working on it. So if possible, we could have, people notified just with a hanger, just go out 4 blocks, so we can close windows and stuff.
If that's what council chooses to tell us what to do.
Okay.
Have we had any similar complaints, comments by anybody else in the past?
No.
That would lead us to believe that the procedure that Muni Pipe uses is not working?
It's not always municipal pipe. We've been doing this for 20-plus years.
Other slip liners.
There's other slip liners that do it. Other municipalities do it. This is a nationwide thing that's done.
Okay.
And I would just note for council, if you didn't pick up on it, we did have her letter on the receive and file on the consent calendar, so it was.
So we did receive and file your letter.
Oh, good, thank you.
Okay.
I'll say my street was done a couple years ago, and I didn't smell anything outside when it was done. I was home that morning that they did it, and I got about 2-hour notice that day. It had nothing to do with you, but so I knew they were doing my street that week, but I didn't know I couldn't use anything except that morning when they knocked on my door and said, "Oh, there's a hanger on your door." I never saw it, but yeah. So I didn't smell anything outside when they were doing it, but I don't remember who was the contractor at the time either. It was 2 years.
Yeah, there's only about 3 or 4 of them that do it in our area.
I have a quick question about our website. This is related. If someone wanted to, let's say Noreen wanted to see what projects were coming to her neighborhood, because we have all of our schedules. I mean, we get these, all the projects are approved and scheduled out. Could someone type their address in the search bar and see anything that's related to the property come up? Is there a smart search so that people can be maybe more proactive who want notice for things that maybe a lot of other people aren't interested in, that they could look themselves and see what's coming?
I'm going to qualify that and say not yet.
Okay.
It is something that our GIS team is going to be working on, is putting much more interactive maps into the systems. We actually just had a briefing about it at the department head staff meeting this morning about where we intend to head with that. We have some technology that's going to be able to do that, and our website is scheduled for an update and a refresh that will allow us to add some more capabilities.
Terrific. So maybe that might be something that we'll still notice the way that we do, but since this is the only time in all of the years that we've been doing this, and you've brought this to our attention, it seems like, and you seem like a proactive person, someone who can look and see what else is also coming to your, are they doing the sidewalk, what else is going on, and you would then have all the notice that you need, because these things are approved months in advance, if not
But
more.
the thing is you would have to sit and look at every day or something. How would you know to even look to think, how would I even think something like that would be going on? Secondly,
you would just type your address in, and anything that was going to happen on your street, slip line, sidewalk, tree maintenance, anything related to your neighborhood perhaps could come up.
Or out for
6 months, 3 months.
Oh, that'd be really great.
That's what I'm saying.
If I called to ask about the scheduling, and everybody told me they had nothing scheduled for 8th Avenue. I called a couple, 3 different places. Nobody had anything scheduled for 8th Avenue. Even though street signs are out there, road closed signs are getting ready to be put up, nobody could find anything scheduled.
Yeah, this might be the solution. So when are we addressing a website update, Lon? Did you say?
The website update will be done over the summer, but it'll be adding the capability to it to be able to reference some of the other applications that we have.
Okay. Okay. Hopefully that'll help.
So is this something you think you might look into doing?
I'm sorry?
To notify people?
So, is that something that's then staff will look at and come back with a recommendation, or do we have a discussion about it at some point, or?
Yeah, we'll need to get direction from council if you want to change how we do it.
Okay, but I don't know that we're not going to have the discussion right now, are we? We can.
It's not a specific agenda item.
Right, so we can't discuss it because it's not on the agenda?
Correct. Okay. We had that opportunity and no one pulled it off, Mayor.
Yeah, so,
Well, I don't know if the receive and file was to discuss this, though. Changing our
Well-
No,
policy.
this one was the slip line.
Receive, file, and discuss.
So will you,
Does say discuss.
will you come back with a recommendation or something that can be put on the agenda to discuss?
Yep. We'll discuss it at the staff level and bring it back for council for consideration.
Can I be notified maybe when it's going to be so I can be present, if possible?
Not changing procedure.
And I am guilty. I'm retired, and I have tons of time. And the people in my neighborhood I've talked to, they're busy, they're tired, they're afraid to step forward and speak their piece. A lot of them won't. They're
Well, they
just,
shouldn't be.
I know they shouldn't, but they are.
We're not that scary.
But, well, let them know that, you know?
We try as best as we can.
Yeah, okay, okay. I'll wait here for you. Thank you.
All right. Any other public comments? Citizen comments to address the council on any topic that's not on the agenda? Okay. Thank you. On to council discussion time. Start with Randy.
I have nothing, Your Honor.
Happy 4th, everybody. Real quick, I want to shout out to the police department, the fire department, and Lynn County Sheriffs for helping my mother in the accident that she was in. I won't get into detail because I'll get emotional. So, but thank you. You do a fantastic job. Thank you to the officers that were there and the firefighters that were there.
Renee?
Just to thank you in particular to fire and police for all of the extra time and stress and counseling to people and watching and protecting the city and enforcing the ordinance. So now we have a couple more weeks, I'm sure, until it kind of quells, and then we're off the hook for a bit. But thank you for all of the extra. That's it.
Yeah, I also wanted to thank the police department for, I'm sure that it's a distraction from your other very important duties of keeping the city safe, having to chase down fireworks offenders, and you're already stretched thin with your staffing, and so all the time that you're putting into it, we do appreciate it. Thanks to the fire department for all the work they've been doing with the vendors and everything. We did talk to a legislator about the fee issue, so that we can at least recoup our cost that we're putting into this, what it's costing us. I would like to see us have a discussion at some point about if we want to go further with this ordinance. I also have received really nice emails about the fire department and the police department from citizens. So people out there are noticing the great quality of service that they have from all our departments, not just the fire and police, but in particular, I've had people specifically email me about police chief and fire chief and the great job that they're doing for our community. So I want to commend you on that and thank you. We had just had the discussion about the 151 and 13 development. I had the pleasure of attending the ribbon cutting for DePaco's building. It's a really nice building out there. It's really kind of the inside of it was just really cool, really beautiful. Great place, a great new addition that raises the bar. I think in Marion, if you have a chance to take a look inside, you should visit it. And they were very proud of it. It was really well attended. I know Steve was there. It was a very nice event. Other than that,
yeah, that DePaco building is not your normal financial institution look, inside and out. So just go out there, and if you don't do anything with them, go inside the building and look at it. It's as contemporary on the inside as it is on the outside. So it is a very nice building. Tomorrow we're all going to be meeting from 10 to 4 discussing our CIP or capital improvements plan. In my opinion, this is one of the most important meetings, and I think there's a follow-up meeting after this later in the month. This is one of the most important strategic meetings that we have. This plan was just put together for the first time in 2017, so I anticipate how it's put together and the whole process will continue to improve. But when the city is needing to commit and prioritize where and how they're going to spend their money and how it's going to be financed, this is one of the most important meetings of the year. So looking forward to it, looking forward to participating, and looking at year 2 for the CIP.
I would just like to say I really like the veterans banners that are up. I think it's a great idea.
They look great. Paul,
Good evening.
I know you have something.
Well, I always like to think of history a little bit, and I was reminded this week that we did the depot 30 years ago. That'll let you know how quick things occur. And I was thinking that at some point in time, this council, somebody's going to sit up here talking about the council in 2018. And I can't think of a better time because we have so many things going on and we have really good council in really good times, so I'm proud of that fact. I was at the library with Randy. I always feel safe when I'm there with him. And somebody said, Draper, what's this rumor I hear about you? Well, I was inside. I was hoping it had something to do with the redhead, but that isn't the rumor. And then I thought Peggy from 1952 may have been coming forward, but that wasn't it either. The rumor they're talking about involves a personal matter with me, and I appreciate you giving me a few minutes for a personal matter. The personal matter is I've been to the Mayo Clinic 17 times this year. I've taken every test they can possibly give, some of them bad, some of them good. I think that as I think back, I'm a pretty lucky guy. You know, I got the first pacemaker put in 34 years ago. I've had the defibrillator pacemaker for the last 8 years. I've gone along, and that's kind of the short version of my heart problem is that about 6 months ago, they gave me a test for the defibrillator. And that test, they think, shook some plaque loose that blocked the artery to the bottom of the heart. And I lost 80% of the bottom of the heart. So I'm operating on 20%. Imagine if I were 100, Mayor. I'm operating on 20%. They're playing with medications, trying to make that better. And like I say, I'm a lucky guy. This isn't a poor me thing. I've gone a long way, and I've had a lot of people voted to put me in this chair, and I've enjoyed being in this chair a whole lot. And I've said before, you know, in my life ledger, I have more friends than enemies. My bucket list is diminished considerably. I've been able to accomplish most of the things that I really enjoy. One of them being to drive my Corvette over 100 miles an hour for the 16th year in a row. And I'll do it next year, and you will not catch me, Joe.
Just don't know where. Cordova.
I have 17 months left. I had people elect me to be in this chair, and I plan to be here and stay here in this chair. I have an ace in the hole right back there, girl in a white shirt with a gold badge, who I know will take care of me if anything happens during the meeting time here. But the rumor you've heard is partially true. The rumor you've heard about me resigning this post is not true. I plan to be in this seat as long as I'm able to use this and be here. I may not see you at ribbon cuttings, especially if a lot of walking is involved because I don't breathe real well, but I'm going to be here. I've only missed 3 meetings in 7 years, Mayor, and I'm not going to miss any more. Thank you.
Thank you for that, and we're glad that you are going to be here till the end of your term, and you're a very valuable member of this council. And appreciate all your contributions.
Thank you.
And you know that you're very important to me as a friend and as a council member.
Thank you.
Okay. I think we have a motion for
With
closed
that,
session.
I'll make the last motion of the night. I'll make a motion to adjourn to closed session regarding land acquisition as permitted under section 21.51J of the Code of Iowa.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to adjourn to closed session regarding land acquisition. Sir.
Your Honor, I have reviewed the subject matter, and pursuant to Iowa Code Section 21.5, Sub 1, Sub J, I do believe that it is appropriate material for a closed session and recommend that the council adjourn accordingly.
Okay. Any discussion on that motion? Will you please take the roll call vote?
Ms. Etzel?
Yes.
Mr. Jensen?
Yes.
Mayor Abu-Osley?
Yes.
Ms. Gedalia?
Yes.
Mr. Brandt?
Yes.
Mr. Sternad?
Yes.
Mr. Draper?
Okay, we are adjourned to closed session and then be back to open session after that.